Anybody see the new step drills I saw in the Harbor Freight? I paid a lot of money to get a step drill. I popped that socket in that plate using a step drill like that. But how do you put a square hole in? This is nice. You can go from 0 to all the way to light bulb socket on one drill bit. But a square hole is a little different. And you can drill a round hole and take this little thing, it's called a nibbler. Radio Shack sells it for about 15 bucks. And all you do is squeeze it. I'll do a couple of them for you. And once you get a ribbon going, you can cut that square groove in there and travel. You can use it to cut light sockets into a fender. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do, and it's a robust little tool. Electronics is my hobby. That's why I got all this garbage. But, anything you need to figure out, give me a holler. And we can get into it. Anybody got any questions?
I'm afraid so that drill bit thing in a 3-piece set.
Yeah, I got a 3-piece set. And that 3-piece set, I'll tell you what, that 3-piece set, this is a Greenland. This cost $79. Okay? You know, that's, and I guarantee as much as I use this one in my personal hobby, that Harbor Freight one would work fine.
I have the Unibit, it cost me $35.
This is the Unibit.
$35 it cost me. I bought that Harbor Freight one and it was great. Every piece.
I've used mine for like 2 years. Still working. I haven't broke one yet. Anybody that wanted a test light that didn't, what's that? Yes. What is a dead spot in the starter? Okay. In a nutshell, you've got a whole coil of wire that continuously goes around in loops inside your motor. Okay? That's the windings. Okay? They make a circle. You can pass your hand through, well, real small hand through the center of it. Inside that is the stator, okay, which is some people call it an armature. Okay? On that stator are sometimes brushes, okay, or some sort of contact. Somewhere in there, maybe one of the loops of wire has burned through, and that circuit doesn't work anymore. Okay? What happens to get that motor started is the energy current flows in, the electromagnetic field is generated, causes that thing to want to spin. Okay? You ever put two magnets opposite against each other and they push apart? Well, that's the way it works. A capacitor on the side of the motor, okay, sends a burst of energy in there to get it started. A capacitor-less motor has all that stuff on the inside on a smaller scale. Okay? Somewhere, either the windings are melted or one of the areas on the stator, if it has brushes, is burned. And when it hits that spot on the brush, it doesn't make contact anymore. Yet, if you hit it with a hammer and nudge it a little bit, or move it by hand a little bit, it starts fine. Because it doesn't need 360 degrees to get up momentum. It happens almost instantaneously. So, it's not going to fix itself, okay? If you start a lot of times right next to where the problem is, and create a lot of heat, you're going to melt more of it. So it's never going to go away. And there's a chance, if it's a rare part, that you could have it rebuilt. If you get it out of there as soon as you notice the problem and get it to a motor company that rebuilds it. I don't know if Warriors even, they're probably not in Pensacola anymore. There are other branches over in is Warrior still in Camden? Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's, I mean, depending on what it is, if you can still buy a new one, you'll buy a new one. But if it's a rare piece, there are old motor guys that'll take care of it. Anything else? Did anybody who wanted a test light not get a test light? Okay.
Let's put a relay in. I look at it.
A relay. Okay. A switch, okay, is the thing on the wall. Are you familiar with what happens inside that switch? Let's see. I got a push button. You guys have all seen this. This is an ignition push button, right? The reason that this can power a starter, you can put this right on the back, hook your solder wires up to it, push that button on the back, and then you've got a remote don't start her. If you try to use a switch like I have here, this little toggle switch, it's not going to handle the current and it's going to melt. So inside this, 2 large pieces of brass with a contact on it. Okay, when I push that button, what happens is the plunger on the top takes one and pushes it down. Okay, a relay, okay, is an electromagnetic thumb. The switch is still the same principle. It's 2 pieces of metal that need to make contact. But now what we do is we make a magnet. You ever wrap a piece of wire around a nail, put it on a battery, and you can pick stuff up with it? Okay, so you take that magnet, okay, and you put a piece of metal on it, and when you energize it, it just draws it close. When it does that, it pushes the switch for you. Okay, so what a relay does is you put a relay in, it allows you to take a tiny wire, a small amount of wire, to power the electromagnetic coil because it doesn't use much current. Okay? But it uses really large, beefy contacts to complete the circuit. See, so I can put a switch like this with contacts this side to turn on my 2 big floodlights on my roof. But I don't have to run thick wire to the dashboard because I'm only actually powering the electromagnetic coil from that switch. And that's why we use relays. Okay? When I told you about this fuse here, what happens is when it gets too hot, okay, the metal has 2 different metals bonded together. And what happens is at a certain temperature, the one metal curls up and pulls it away like this. When it cools down, the other metal pulls it back in. So it's just a switch as well. Okay? Yeah, so
You say a relay, you're thinking about like AC conditioner relays in cars or a fan relay. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. What exactly those things do?
okay.
I know when they go bad, your fans don't come on, but why?
Well, now see, fans, that's a different animal. That's a thermistor. That's something that reads heat.
Yeah, but it's got a relay that works for fans.
But it's not usually the relay that goes bad.
I've replaced relays.
Okay. A couple things can happen to a relay. When the electromagnetic coil gets energized, I told you it makes contact. If you've ever thrown a big switch that you could see the contacts in, or even you've been in a dark room and flipped the light switch, you see a little spark. Every time you make or break on a switch, there's a spark. Okay? Over time, that spark causes pitting, just like the points in your car. Okay? Light switches on the walls, they can go millions of times and never have a problem. Okay? They've got better and better at that. But the relays in the car, they make and break a lot of times. Every time you turn the key on, that thing makes, even if it's just for a second, so the computer says, hey, it's not your time yet. So that thing goes all the time. What can happen is, one time that thing kicks and it welds itself together. Now your fans are on all the time. Okay, that's the relay. You've got to replace the relay to do that. The other thing that can happen is they've made enough times that now when they touch, they're not completing the circuit anymore. They've got enough crap built up on them so that they don't work anymore. The problem with most of your relays is that they're encased in something. So you've got to buy another. But all a relay is, and by the way, a relay can have more than just one switch in it. They actually put a switch that opens when you engage it, and a switch that closes, so that when it engages, it disconnects one and reconnects the other. Okay? So that's the way it works. The turn signal flasher is the same thing. Okay, come on over for a second. Let me show you something. I got this thing rigged here. Our old friend Flashy would let me try and do this without shorting. This will be the last time I can use this tonight until I put it back together. But I split this sucker open because I was wondering if somebody wanted to know how it works. Because a lot of times you'll open one in your hand just to see what's inside of it, but you don't actually get to see what it's doing. Okay? What's happening here is this flasher is set to move just enough current. Okay, you see that wire that's wrapped around there? Okay, it's a really thin wire.